Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Crystal. This is my social thread. Today I'm going to be opening this month's box for Little Miss So-and-so. This is the So Luxurious All Set to Sew kits, which I receive once a month as part of being one of their brand ambassadors. Super excited to open it, and I'm opening it live with you today. I already know the pattern and the fabric that I've chosen, so that won't be a surprise, although seeing it in the flesh is always a lovely surprise. Also, I get a free gift with this one as well. These boxes retail at £65, including postage and packaging, and you basically in there you get a pattern of your choice. Well, a pattern between two choices, a woven pattern or a knit pattern, so you get to choose one of those, and then you get a choice of various fabrics to choose from. So for example, if you choose the knit pattern, you then get to choose between all of their knit fabrics to make up that pattern. As a So Luxurious customer, I get to choose from their designer fabrics, including Art Gallery, Atelier Brunette, Lady McElroy, Dashwood Studios, and that's great. So there is also a slightly cheaper box to get, subscription box. I believe that's called So Special, and I believe that's £45. However, that is non-designer fabrics that are your choices to choose from, but the pattern choices are the same. Included in this as well is obviously all the notions that you need to make up your pattern, so thread, zips, buttons, that sort of thing, interfacing, and you get a little haberdashery gift, and I think that's it. So here we go. Let's open this box. Oh, I see. Right, so their lovely blue wrapping paper and their sticker. Lots of little goodies. Oh, that is really nice. So let's open haberdashery bag number 1. So I've got my matching thread, which is a navy 100 meters Gutterman's thread. What else do I have? I have some, I forgot what, yeah, I do remember now. Elastic, clear, I believe that's stay tape, clear stay tape. And I think that's it in that bag. So that's lovely. That's what will be needed for the pattern. And then this haberdashery bag over here. Ooh. It's a lovely compact mirror from So Tasty. So it's a lovely compact mirror, and it's got sort of a button and leaf detail there, sort of a marbled effect, and it's a mirror, and I'm not sure what is this, a magnet? I don't know what you would put there, but I guess it's a lovely mirror that you can just put in your little makeup bag, in your purse, and it's from So Tasty. Very nice, very different. Thank you very much. And then I also get one of these. These are lovely. Lee's Taylor, a lovely enamel pin there. And there's my hand for scale. These are lovely. How many? I don't think I've had, do I have any other enamel pins? But they're really lovely. So Lee's Taylor, she also does fabrics, I believe. So that's that. That is a lovely, nice little gift, isn't it? Thank you very much. And then the pattern that I chose, I went for the woven pattern this month, and the choice was the Georgie dress. I can't remember what the woven pattern was, but I went for the knit pattern. It's the Georgie dress by Sew Over It, and they have provided, I wasn't aware of this, normally I get the paper pattern, but this time round I've got the PDF version. So I've got the Georgie dress instructions all beautifully printed out, and I've also got the A0 So Over It A0 printed out in A0, which is actually quite nice, because with the PDF, with the paper patterns, I love them because they're lovely and tactile. You can collect them. The packaging is really nice. Just looking at the paper and the actual physical booklets is really lovely. However, when it comes to sewing, I do tend to trace them because I don't like cutting straight into the pattern, because if I need to make a bigger size for myself, if the size that I did make didn't work, or if I want to make it for somebody else, I then don't have that pattern to make a different size from. on. So I normally trace it out. So now in recent times, I have just been buying PDF patterns because I then cut out the PDF pattern straight away. And if I need to do another size, I just get the PDF pattern reprinted in A0 and cut that out again, because I think it saves me a lot of time rather than tracing, and also printing out on A4 can be quite tiring as well, I find. So there you go. Thank you very much. Sew Over It. So Over It, Georgie. I have made this dress before, so I know how it fits and everything. It is basically a wrap dress. The sleeves are sort of long sleeves, but you can adjust those how you like. You can do short sleeve, 3/4 length sleeves and normal sleeves. And then you sort of have, I think it's a circle. You have an option between a circle skirt or a gathered skirt. The bodice is fully lined. The back and the front of the bodice is fully lined. And then there's an elasticated part here so that the V of the dress stays in place. And it doesn't sag, as it were, or gape. Let me have a look. So, fabric recommendations are obviously knit fabrics, Ponte Roma, French terry, that sort of thing. Viscose jersey as well if you want a more fluid dress. Body measurements for this dress, they start from a size UK 6, bust of 31, hip of 34, all the way to a UK 20, bust of 45 to a hip of 48. So I'm planning on making the... Have I made the circle skirt before? I think I do normally go for the circle skirt if the width of my fabric is wide enough, because with the circle skirt you need to have quite a wide fabric. Otherwise it would be the gathered skirt, but it would be the standard sort of size, long sleeves, because it's now autumn winter, and I think it'll be quite nice and snuggly. And that's what I'm going to go for. And the fabric I have chosen is from, I believe it's from Dashwood Studios. Oh, I'm going to be really upset if it's this beautiful fabric cotton jersey. I'm going to say Dashwood Studios, but if I make a mistake I will write it down below. And it's like a lovely navy print with sort of colourful abstract lines, squiggles. So from far away it looks like this, up close it looks like this. And the weight is really, really lovely. Is it Dashwood Studios? Yes, it is Dashwood Studios. I just see the label. So it's printed on a white background. Dashwood Studios there. Dashwood Studios. Beautiful stretchy. Great recovery, still lovely and drapey for a cotton jersey, which is nice. And as a So Luxurious subscriber, I actually get 3.5 meters of this, enough to make the biggest size, which is great. So I don't make the biggest size, so I have always leftover fabric, which I like to make use of. I could possibly be left with a bit of fabric to make maybe a tiny t-shirt or something, so that would be quite nice. So very looking forward to doing that, to sewing that up. And I've also received some lining fabric in just the navy. This is probably a viscose jersey. It is. It's a plain navy viscose jersey. I can tell it's viscose because it's slightly thinner and slightly more fluid. So that will be quite nice for the lining of the bodice. I have tended in the past to use the same fabric for the lining, but sometimes when your fabric is cotton jersey or thicker, like a Ponte Roma, it does tend to get quite thick and bulky, and the fit is slightly smaller because you have more fabric. Sort of, you've got 2 layers on each side of the front bodice and then 2 layers at the back, so it does tend to get quite tight on the bodice. So having this, I didn't know I would get this lining, but having this as a lining fabric is even better. So thank you very much, Helen and Nicola, for that. And whilst we're here, I normally also show you last month's make. So last month I chose a woven pattern. This time actually I chose the Liberty Fabrics Natasha Tier dress, and that's this one here. And I know a lot of you have been saying that Liberty have kind of copied McCall's designs, and I believe So Do It Emma mentioned on one of my vlogs that Liberty has actually got the license to use or reprint McCall's designs, which is, you know, fair enough. You know, they're not doing anything illegal, obviously. It's fair enough. I just think it might be a bit misleading that people, you know, may tend to buy the Liberty patterns thinking they're getting something unique, getting something exclusive. Obviously, from a high-end brand like Liberty, you would think, you know, that they are their own designs, or one would like to think that they are their own designs. Unfortunately, they are not. So obviously, if you can find the equivalent McCall's pattern, that is a cheaper option to buy than the Liberty ones, because you are getting exactly the same pattern, just repackaged and rebranded. Anyhow, this is what I've received. And this is a tier dress. Let me show you the options at the back, the line drawings. So you just have, you have the same bodice in all the variations. Here you've got the short sleeves, and this is like a box pleat skirt, front and back. This again, you've got the same bodice as this, but it's got a little ruffle at the sleeves. All of them are just closed by a little button at the back. This one is the sleeveless bodice, and then you've got the two tiers. This one is the same bodice as this one, but then you've got the tiered skirt as well. So I went for this one here, but I changed the sleeves. I used the sleeves from the Onella blouse by Mood Fabrics, which I'll show you in a bit, because I just wanted to use that one. And I've also added an extra frill at the neckline to make my dress more unique and more something that I would like to wear, basically. So measurements for this, it is in centimeters. So it goes from a size 6, which is a bust of 77, hip of 83, waist of 58, all the way to a size 22, which is a bust of 112, waist of 94, hip of 117. So now I went for a size, let me show you the are the measurements in here. Oh, finished measurements. Yes, you do have finished measurements. So finished measurements, no, you don't have finished measurements. So unfortunately, you don't have finished measurements in this, which is a bit of a shame. And that is also another big giveaway that these patterns aren't Liberty patterns, because Liberty haven't come up with patterns until recently. And normally, if most of the modern pattern companies or the independent pattern companies have their finished garment measurements on their envelopes, they also have little lovely booklets for their instructions. The instructions of this particular pattern comes in an A3 sheet like this, and I'm sure most of you will recognize that the big four have their instructions like this. All other independent companies have little booklets. So finished measurements. I think what I decided to do in the end was, on the actual pattern pieces, they had bust measurements on the bodice. I've actually got it here, haven't I? Let me just show you. Oh yeah, it's here. So on the front bodice piece here, you've got, I don't know if you can see that, over here, there's a measurement. So it says here, size 14 is 40.5 inches, 16 42.5 inches, 18 44.5 inches, and so on. So I'm assuming that is the finished bust measurements. So according to those measurements, I went for a size 16, because I know from my Tilly and the Buttons Indigo that a good 3 inches of ease at the bust is what works well for my bodice, for my figure. And I went for the size 16, and I cut out the size 16, made it all up. The instructions were very good, actually. But what I did find is it came up really, really big. So even if I went down to the smallest size on this pattern, which is a size 14. So this goes from, you've got the two, there's this sizing goes from a size 14 to a size 22. So I've chosen the bigger range, and then it also has the smaller range from size 14 downwards. So I went for a size 16, and in hindsight, even if I went for the size 14, it still would have been a lot bigger. So I made up the pattern and it is lovely, but I had to do a lot of adjustments, and I'll talk you through them right now. Let me show you her actually for now. She's over here. Let me just move her over. So here she is. I chose the Atelier Brunette, what is this called? Viscose Twill, in their ochre colorway. This is the twig print. It is lovely. I mean, it's got such a lot of weight in it. Like, it's a lovely weighty fabric. It's twill, so it's a little bit thicker than your normal viscose, and it feels really brushed and lovely. It's lovely to work with, and lovely to press. I do find that the dress is a bit heavy, and I know I sort of listed that as a positive, but I think the arms, for example, they're just quite weighty. So maybe in hindsight, I might shorten this cut, shorten the sleeve, and adjust the cuff upwards so it's not too weighty on the arms. So these are the sleeves I was talking about, the Ornella blouse sleeves. It basically has a lovely gathered sleeve head, and then it has a very billowy sort of sleeve. It's gathered at the cuff, and then it has a lovely cuff here with no buttons or closures, so that your hand goes in and out of there perfectly. And then when you wear it, you can see you've got sort of that lovely drape of the sleeve there. I also added the ruffle. So this ruffle was just from the new Tilly and the Buttons Marnie blouse and dress, this one here. So in their pattern, you can see that you can add a little frill there. So I just borrowed that pattern piece from there, and I added that. And then the tiered skirts, everything else is all the same as the pattern. If I turn her around, I have also added waist ties, which I just self-drafted myself. And then you've got the lovely closure here. The problems I had, let me start. Okay, the problems I had, this back part here, it was very difficult to get that to lay flat. Let me show you. I can push her aside a bit. So I don't know if you can see, it's not sitting flat there. I did iron it, but it's just not sitting very nicely there. I have seen now in hindsight tutorials about how to make that flat. But if I was to revisit it again, I will probably have to look at a different tutorial just to make sure this corner here, or this sort of part here, lays flatter. So that's that. As I say, with regards to the sizing, the size 16, which is what I went for, was far too big. If I untie it, it actually is a loose fit dress anyhow, which is fine. So it is a loose fit dress anyhow, which is fine. But I have already taken off 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on the other side, and it is still quite a loose fit. So in hindsight, even a size 14 would be too big. I'm thinking maybe even a 12 or a 10 would probably be a better fit for me in the waist. What else did I have to say? Oh yes, the main concern I had was I was so excited to get this done. The fabric was gorgeous. The instructions were very much straightforward. But when I tried it on, the shoulder seam was hanging down here. Like literally, it was unwearable. Like I couldn't wear it out. It just looked awful. And it was a good inch that was drooping off my shoulder. And I thought, what happened here? Like I never have that problem with any of my patterns. And then I was a bit, oh no, I've kind of ruined this. What am I going to do? So I had the idea of looking at a bodice that I have recently used that I like and I reuse over and over again. And that's the Tilly and the Buttons Indigo bodice, which I have made several indigo dresses. And I will show you the difference of the pattern pieces. So this is, as I say, the bodice for the Natasha. And this is the bodice for the indigo. And if I lie those two on top of each other, you can see there's a big inch all the way around, even through to the arm side. So that was a big sign that obviously I don't think it's drafted well in terms of sizing, because I know my body shape isn't, I'm not narrow at the shoulders at all. And in terms of Tilly and the Buttons patterns or sew over it patterns, whatever other patterns I've used, Friday Pattern Company patterns, I never have that problem with the shoulders. So as a result of that, I'm thinking that these patterns aren't really drafted well for my body shape anyway. So what I ended up doing was literally, so this, let's say for example, this is my bodice, my sleeve was attached here. I ended up undoing all of the sleeves, so that was sewn and overlocked, so it took me a good hour to unpick both of those sleeves. I then shaved off all of the arm side and the shoulder, and then I reattached the sleeves again, and they were a lot better. So now I'm happy with it, and it is now wearable, and the dress is really, really lovely. But I think if I probably wouldn't make this dress again, in all honesty, because I have other very similar dresses that look quite similar. As I say, the sew over it, no, sorry, the Tilly and the Buttons indigo dress is very similar. I think that would be my go-to for this sort of pattern, because the indigo dress is the same. You've got like a bodice with a round neckline, gathered skirt, and then the sleeves you can hack how you please. The Tilly and the Buttons indigo also has a bust seam here, and that's just a better fit for me. So all in all, I probably wouldn't make this dress again. Having said that, their patterns are beautiful, and I may be tempted to try another one of their patterns, but I won't be rushing to do it straight away. Let me show you some photos actually of the dress. So I do love the dress and I do wear it. So let me show you some photos of me wearing it. And there you go. So that was August's box, and it was a challenge because it was something different that I haven't done before. So I wasn't used to the facing on the back of the buttonhole, like trying to get that flat. So if I was to do it again, maybe I'll find out, I'll do some research on how to make that look nicer. Also the fact that I actually unpicked the sleeves, you know, cut the arm side and the shoulders sort of down, trimmed it down and reattached the sleeves. I thought that was a challenge that I overcame as well. And in the end, I still, the dress is beautiful and it is wearable, and I have learned a lot of lessons from this pattern. So yeah, there you go. Let me just see if I've got any more notes in my thing. Oh yeah, and also the pockets, they do have pockets. I found the pocket bags were really, really long, and just was unnecessarily sort of long at the opening. So again, my go-to pockets are the Tilly and the Buttons pockets, either from the Lyra or from the indigo, and even the instructions for the pockets are really good. So they always tell you to understitch the seam allowance of the skirt to the pocket bag, which is really good, because then it doesn't peep out on the side, which is what I do with all my pockets, regardless of what pattern I'm using and what instructions I'm using. And wherever possible, I do just swap out all my pocket bags for the Tilly and the Buttons pockets anyway. And there you go. So that's my review for that dress. Hopefully you all enjoyed that and maybe got some tips. For those of you that have used this pattern before, I don't know whether you had the same issues as me, or whether, you know, you love it so much. Then I mean, I guess not every pattern is for everybody, and I'm obviously just giving my honest opinion on how I found it and how I found sewing it up. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for everybody, to everybody for watching. Please do check out the rest of my videos on my channel, and in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and thank you very much Helen and Nicola for another lovely subscription box, and I can't wait to make up my next one. Thank you. Bye bye.